was about that BS triangle. Sometimes I call it Kakashka triangle. And it's related to the movies these days. Because if you have noticed, the movies these days are not as good as before. It's been at least for about 20 years that we are seeing this decreasing in the level of the movies, unfortunately. And I'm going to talk about it today, but as much as possible in public. Some of the topics are very sensitive. We cannot talk about it on social media. And, when I want to find the worthy movies these days, it's very challenging. It's like I'm going through garbage and I'm trying to find worthy material somehow. And that's how it feels. Like exactly when you go through this garbage, you even feel you got dirty after watching some of the movies. And then you try to find the interesting points in them. Sometimes the movie itself is not good, but there are some worthy stuff you can even find in it. And I do my best in my channel to try to find them and also talk about them with my guests even. Because some of the movies, even we talk with guests, not necessarily I approve them, not necessarily I like them, but there are some interesting topics which we can discuss, of course. Discuss about them, and we can even learn from each other. Why not? So very briefly, I'm going to talk about this BS triangle of the puppet masters, because as I said, time to time I need to mention it in some of my videos. So at least on this video you will see that what I mean by them in general format, as I am allowed to talk about on social media. So in general, this triangle has three sides, and like any other triangles. And some days it was easy to hide behind holy books, and just nobody could, for example, reject your opinion. If you say, for example, the earth is round, then you wouldn't dare to say that before. And now, those guys who want to brainwash you somehow through media, which is a very powerful object to do that. So they cannot do that anymore because it got already old, and they need new things. And what they do, they are hiding behind some basic human rights, and everyone would agree with them. So if you say something opposite, something maybe not in line with that, then they will ignore you, block you, or they insult you. So that's why it's not as easy as before to understand these guys. They are hiding exactly behind which topics. But by looking at the media these days, maybe you can see that it is converging to some topics specifically, and that's those three sides of the triangles I'm going to talk about is related to that. So the first side actually is related to homosexuals and transgenders, like this sensitive topic that I think any decent human being would agree that it is any person's choice to even get married with someone in any sexual orientation. So it's not even, again, our business. So they should have right like any other human beings. And that's, I think everyone would agree. But, over advertising something, that's the problem, I assume. And why they over advertise it, I don't want to talk about it on this video. Maybe we can guess. And when one of them actually is related to the other side, I will mention later. But in general, over advertising such things would lead to perversion, I believe, because they just invite you to try things. Well, and maybe that's not the path that you were supposed to take, even, because you should actually have these intentions from the beginning, that whether you like it or not from the beginning. But when you see something again and again, then you think, okay, you are left out, then you should try it. And that's actually could be a kind of perversion. And that's why over advertising something like that, I personally don't agree. Like, for example, out of 100 movies, maybe one movie is about such a topic, and it should be your choice whether you like to watch that movie or not. But 99% of movies, for example, to contain such scenes that you are not interested to watch that. That's why it's forcing you to, for example, normalize such ideas, which is, I think, doesn't work. And it is one of the three reasons that movies these days are they're actually losing their quality. And there should be a variety of movies, of course. We can have them in different movies, then it should be your choice to whether watch it or not, but not to force them in all the movies. The other side, which is very important, I think, maybe the base of this triangle, is related to the topic related to racism. So I think we all agree that there's no room for racism, that everyone from each race has equal right, and that's for sure. Any decent human being, again, would agree with that. But how they are trying to hide behind this beautiful idea and then misuse it to, like the previous side, by the way, they are misusing this basic human right. Like they are using a specific proportion of races in movies, and how they use that proportion is interesting. Like not in a good way necessarily, but what you see is that it is the same proportion in all of the project, and not, I mean all, but most of them. It doesn't matter in which country the movie was created. It could be in the United States, it could be in Poland, it could be in Norway. Like you watch Netflix series, doesn't matter, from even Norway, you see the same proportion. And you would say, okay, this is good. This is like we are following diversity in our movies, that's good. But the problem is that they are using specific proportion. Like they are actually ignoring some of the races, and they are promoting the other ones. And this is actually racism itself when you do that. And the other thing I noticed, for example, in that is that how they show people from Middle East. Because when they show people from Middle East through especially this diversity, they usually fixate on their religion. Like they say, for example, they show a Muslim and say, okay, we covered people from Middle East in this movie. For example, we showed one woman with a scarf, so that's diversity, that's good. And the thing is that this is actually very biased, because for example, the majority of Muslims, where do you think they live? They live in Indonesia, for example. This is the largest country containing Muslims. But when you think about Oriental countries, this is the last thing maybe come to your mind about whether there are Muslims or not, You're thinking about, for example, anime when it comes there. You think about Thailand. You think about such things, So that's the last thing that comes to your mind. So this is also not fair to talk about people in Middle East by just showing their religion all the time in your movies, And I think that's not fair. It's like, for example, showing Italians like Pope, for example. They're wearing like Pope. And this is, of course, would be biased. And that's actually totally different country when it's in the middle of the room, but this is actually different country. But so this is not fair to show just one person, one stereotype, and just spend it in all of your movies. And you guys also, by the way, can contribute to whatever I'm saying. It's interesting also to see what you think. Because, I usually try to avoid talking about them, but since it came time to time in my movie reviews, then I noticed that maybe there should be a video, just at least once. We talk about it and that's it. And it's very hard to talk about this stuff without being insulted or without a misunderstanding. That's why, for example, if there's a misunderstanding, you guys should be patient. Like, you should ask why you think like that, or why we can talk about it, instead of insulting the other person. And I'm happy that I see that some of you agree with me already. And yes, I'm sure I'm not the only one thinking about this stuff, but people cannot talk about it that much because it's a sensitive topic. And they usually don't dare to talk about it on social media. That's why I'm not also going through details, just generally. I'm mentioning the things which is really disturbing in the movies these days, especially started from the year 2000. Before that we had, but now it's getting worse and worse about these three sides of the triangle. Said that actually topic is hot. Yes, thank you so much, Anna. Thank you. And okay, for example, for you not to be for you not to misunderstand me, I give you example. Like I was born in Iran, was raised in Iran, so I'm Iranian, I'm Persian, and so based on my own nationality. Of course, this is natural that I would love to see Iranians in different projects, different movies. But there are some movies that I don't like to see Iranians there. Like, for example, there's a series about Vikings. Then maybe as a guest star is fine. But as a main character, that would be even funny. What is that guy doing there, you know? The theme will be violated, I think, in that way. So, for example, you make a series about Catherine the Great, then, for example, the main characters to be, for example, Iranian. That wouldn't make sense, right? About Witcher, like this is about, of course, this is fantasy, but you don't want that diversity anymore inside it because it's about Baltic region. This is Baltic theme. So there are many movies you don't want that diversity in them because it will ruin the whole theme of the movie. And you don't take it seriously after a while. Like, for example, when it is about Catherine the Great, of course, it's a comedy, but still, you don't feel that atmosphere anymore, you know? And, for example, it's about Prince of Persia. Now that's the movie you want Iranian inside it. But what happens? Then they hire white guys, for example, in that movie. Actually, Jake played very good as the main actor, but still, as I said, that's the best place for example, an Iranian to shine. But what happens now in all of the mentioned project that I said, they try to have diversity the way they want with that same proportion. And that's really disturbing. It happens in most of the movies these days since 2000 until now. We see it and it gets worse and worse. And this is so one of the other sides of the triangle, maybe the base of the triangle. This is the most important thing. I think, as a writer, I think when you create a character, you really care about this character to have the same solid, not just personality, also appearance. Even the eye color is important. Like, for example, in Harry Potter, you know that the main actor needed to wear lenses, but he couldn't. And because of that, but they still insisted that he should play. He played very good. Of course, all of us agree. Daniel was the name, or yes, I think so. And he played very well. But, the whole idea about the eye color was related to he has the same eye color or eye like his mother. So that was the whole idea in the writing. Now, you insist one actor to play that would be problematic. You see what I'm talking about? So for the writer point of view, it's very important that you stick with that personality, not only the behavior, not only the character, but also the appearance. So now what they are trying to do in various movies, they are trying to just keep changing the appearances, even keep changing the gender of that character. Like, for example, now we should have Madame Web, because okay, we need a female, for example, Spider-Man. This is related to the third side that I'm going to talk about. But you see how it will turn out. It will be stupid. So that's, I think, one of the reasons related to that. So again, why this side is very important for the puppet master, as I call them. The puppet masters, by the way, is the layer higher than even politicians. Politicians basically are the puppets of the puppet masters. So what I'm saying is actually not a topic related to politics even. I'm talking about another layer. And again, as I said, on social media, it's better to avoid such topics. So I'm not going to talk about the details related to that. Whether this second side is related to destroy history, to forget history, to just mention about it the way you want. I don't know what's the reason. I don't want to talk about it in details. So what is the true discrimination, if you want to talk about just a bit? It's not about race anymore. Like you don't, for example, you go to a restaurant and they say, no, we don't allow, for example, your race here. Maybe someday it was, and it was very bad. Of course, we all agree that everyone should be able to go to any place together. It was so bad. And but we don't have it anymore. There are rules against it, like you cannot do that. But what is the true discrimination? The true discrimination these days is about your nationality, not about your race. So when you are from a certain region, you are not even allowed, you be based on your passport, you cannot even go to the whole other countries. You see, it's not just about the restaurant anymore, it's about the whole region, about countries. So basically they are just keeping you in certain region. And there are so many movies, by the way, there were before related to that. Still they are making them time to time. Rarely happens these days, unfortunately, but it's about your nationality, not about your racism anymore. Racism is an old story now. If something about this happen, of course, the rules will be against them, which is good, and it shouldn't happen. There's no room for racism. But for nationalities, they do it easily. And they even make you not care about certain nationalities time to time, so that when there is war there, for example, when they are being killed, then you stop caring about them suddenly because of media. You see, that's the brainwash. That's very bad. So I think this thing you should be aware of. And this is related to the second side of this triangle, which is, I think, the most important one that they try to advertise. And the last one. The last one is about feminism. So I think, again, any decent guy would agree that women and men should have equal right. When they are having a specific job, they should have this right to receive the same wage. And we all agree with that. And they are again hiding behind these beautiful ideas. And what they do, they are making some crappy movies to just support, but what they do is actually doing it worse. For example, I give you this example that happens a lot in so many movies and series, that you see that, for example, a girl just punching the guy in the face, and just because, for example, the boy said something, and this is okay, that they are trying to persuade it, oh, yes, such a powerful girl, good act, actually, well done. So this is very bad, beating someone doesn't matter, that's a woman, that's a guy, it's a bad thing. Why you advertise it, you see? So, but again, it depends on the rules. Like when the rules are supporting both men and women, they have equal rights, that's the most important, not to make such stupid advertisement about, for example, these things. And these sites that I mentioned, okay, so these three sites about like homosexuals we mentioned, about racism, about feminism, and these three sides time to time are connected to each other as exactly a triangle. And again, I cannot unfortunately mention about the details on social media, but the first and third triangle are so much related, how they are advertising men to be soft, not in a good way necessarily. And they are trying to somehow destroy this masculinity. And what's the reason? Again, we cannot talk about it in public. If you have any ideas, of course, you're free to give in comments. You can mention about them, but at least I cannot talk about it on social media. And okay, I think I talked enough about this triangle. So you guys have now idea when I mention it in my movie reviews. What do I mean by BS triangle of the puppet masters? That's how they brainwash you using media these days, which has been changed since at least the year 2000, and it's getting worse and worse. That's why for me it's very hard now, for everyone I think, to find a movie which doesn't contain one of these three sides. Just if you find, please let me know, because I'm very interested to watch those movies. It's very hard to find a movie which doesn't contain these three sides. If you find, please let me know also in the comments, because that's what I'm doing. Also, these movies that I'm trying to actually share on my social media, on YouTube, especially in news playlist or movies and series playlist, I try to find such movies, which rarely happens, sometimes independent movies, but sometimes even I may share with you some movies which contain even all of these sides of triangle, but there are some worthy things inside it that you cannot deny. Like, for example, the series Spartacus, it contained at least two sides of it, at least, and but it was such a strong series that you cannot deny it, so you cannot ignore it. So for such cases, still I'm sharing, but doesn't mean I agree with these ideas. So when you told me about this, since yesterday you asked some question, mention not just one person, and because of that I noticed that maybe this is the time finally I talk about it briefly, so that you guys don't misunderstand me. When I share a movie, it doesn't mean that I agree with all ideas. I understand the brainwash behind most of them, and fortunately, at least until now, I'm not the slave of their advertisement, just to do it whatever they want through me, for example. But what I'm doing is that I'm trying to detect the worthy movies, even sometimes it contains some of these sides of the triangle. So I hope you guys will also appreciate it, because I give lots of my time to this, to find some worthy movies like that. We talk about it with my guests on my live show. And time to time, even we talk about these sensitive topics with my guest as much as possible, as much as it's possible on social media to talk about it in public. So guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope I covered those questions that you asked me through this monologue. If there is nothing else, I would say goodbye to you and I will see you next week. If I'm not mistaken, the next guest would be Kasia. You know her from the movie The Great Gatsby. This is the second time we are going to talk with each other. It will be about talking about some of the interesting movies. And it's interesting to see what Kasia has in mind about those movies. And also we talk about her recent movie Box Metaphor in details. Thank you so much. Anil mentions very interesting topic you covered. Thank you so much. I'm glad to hear. If you guys will watch this video later on my YouTube, I would be very happy to hear your comments. Okay then, see you guys. Bye for now.